So yeah, this kind of little behind the scenes. We're in the studio. Michael has been waiting to show you a behind the scenes process and look at his music making. The problem with tardive dyskinesia is that you always dropping stuff to the left and the right, and people come up to you and they say, "What's wrong with your dropping shit all the time?" Ever since I've known me bloke Michael, he's been into some sort of strange things. You have to explain to him, it's a thing that I have, TD. And they say, what's TD? But they don't ever say that, but you still tell them anyway. You say, it's tardive dyskinesia. He's always been drawn to like sort of supernatural like phenomenon type of things. It has something to do with the abdominal muscles or something. Anyway, got pissed off about it and come over and he started banging on the fence and over the fence. And I said, really? How does he get his asshole over the fence? So Mitch was like, come look. So I went off, walked around there, and he's got this little post. We have backyard gatherings, but what was it like what normal people would do? It was more cool. We're gonna have to put them down. I said, hell no, you're not putting my meal down. Did y'all hear the one about the crippled taxidermist? Okay, well, crippled taxidermist. I just got that joke. Busy till Thursday. Okay. See, we got this culture of narcissism where everybody is doing their own thing at all times. In this section of the video, Michael would sort of like to explain how he comes up with some of the more absurd realities of the music. These like sad, vulnerable little children inside trying to like reward themselves from their public around everybody. You just like the salad toppings. And so a bitch walks up here in front of her, very front of her face, in the middle of her face. Doesn't bother anybody, I guess, but it would bother me. And so I walk up and I say, Michael would like to make a disclaimer here that he's no way judging anyone for being a complete fucking idiot. Oh, you're alright. That's the excuse. That's not why I'm speaking to you. It's because you're in my way or I'm in your way. So you're alright. Just like do your own thing because Michael would like to apologize for the constant use of the F word here. Well, maybe the thing you're trying to get is somewhere else or upside down or back of the wall or 2 miles that way, or you don't know it exists, or they quit running that program last Wednesday, but you don't ask questions because you're not a social fucking being whatsoever. So she looks a minute more at the back of his head, and then goes to her phone. Absolutely nothing to fucking do with the purchase of a fucking salad topping. And I mean, I do this pretty well. YouTube sent me a message today. Well, I just happened to see it because, I don't know, I opened my emails. They just rack up fucking junk. Virtual junk. Somebody out there thinks is valuable. They sit on it and store it. Is the shit that's not even, you can't even find it. Because it's mine. Because YouTube sends me a message that says, hey, you had 0 subscribers last month. Michael would like to make a statement here that it's not the size of the audience, but the audience's size of heart. What am I doing wrong? How damn smart I am. I'm so damn smart. But, I gotta go around about to tell you what I'm gonna tell you, and they're suppressing me. And, yeah, well, shit. This dude made all that music. Well, shit. This guy produced all that music. He played it, and then put it all together, and then made a fucking video on top of it. I'm not doing anything on it like anybody else is doing.
Michael would like to remind you that his music takes a lot of hard work.
Like, you can't box me over into gardening. You know, that's constantly trying to waver off, to filter off my interests, because I actually ask questions, so I can get to places, get through all these other places. Just trying to absorb it all. Your head would just pop, and you would just fall out, and it's because there's nothing specific about your questions. Michael would like to remind you that being at the DMV is very troublesome because they don't try to help. How come? That don't sound quite right to me. Let me look at it this way, and then you look at it, and I've done that in pretty much everything in life, and so there's a lot of things that I was just looking at the world going, no. Skepticism mainly about psychology and medicine in particular. Science out there, that's a God figure. That's a figurehead. That's an invisible force. Such is the nature of language that sometimes you don't use totally relevant terms. And have everything to do with questions. Because I didn't find anybody in a philosophy class that had questions. Or had answers already. That's the thing about it. I already exhausted every other type of fucking avenue that there was on the subject. And they were just so confident. Anything you wanted to find, you just tip on the new computer. Abraham Lincoln, you could find the world. You're doing a paper on something nobody considered about Abraham Lincoln. Philosophy. Is there any proof in that? It might be your spirituality and your connection to God. Because what else are you on this earth for? Ever since I know the guy, man, he's been using language well and jumping to conclusions, man. But to discover meaning and purpose on earth, let someone else write that book for you? I put in a lot of years, I put in a lot of money, and I put in a lot of time, and now I got the things in this world that I come to get. And the guy, man, who's so full of himself, man, who thinks that his way is the only way, man. Because it all comes down to you and your questions. What you desire, what you know about yourself, what you're willing to ask. Or all those questions are too big-headed for you, then maybe God's too good for you. And this guy, man, he's so full of himself, man. You can't even talk to this guy when he's acting crazy, man. Probably start singing when the thing goes, guitar quits. Yeah, singing. Stop singing. Because it's a chord that rings out. So singing, stop singing. He'd mostly just be out there in that old shed and making music, and other things are propelling everything along. But then it's more singing for that whole 4 bars. The riff comes back in, more singing. And then there's this guitar, and it's only got 2 modes of operation, and really it only has 1 note. Sliding to 1 note. So here's more vocals here, and then the vocals stop. I guess that's more big chords. So the he had acne real bad, and he didn't like to talk to the girls too much, and it's different than a number 2 verse. Ranting. You'd mostly just see him out there at that old schoolhouse and tinkering with the guitar too. Just crunching I think we would have had a solo in there too, because we come off of that big there. And this is so that's all we got. And we're going out here. This is choruses or just the riff. I don't know if there will be a chorus.
First time I met him, he was down there at that old library down there, and he was checking out a book.
Of course, may actually be the riff with a propulsion of more instruments added, and with instruments to a stack and like put an instrument on. Then we put another rhythmic instrument in there.
We was both into rock and roll music down there, and we'd cut a rug a time or two.
For the vocal, take time putting the instruments down, because what I really love is putting the vocals on at the end. It's not even the fact that it's been said, it's not been said in any other way. That's what I like. That's the part I'm trying to get to.
I've recently found that a radish works just about as good as a potato does.
I wonder if there's some kind of like... This is the part I hate the most. Adjusting the mic stand. This is like if every truck driver had to change his tires.
Michael can sort of be a serious bloke at times if you get to know him.
Musicians have to do everything. That's when I adjusted the damn mic stand because it was falling over. I didn't put it tight enough. That's why I hate that job. It's everybody's favorite time. Rocket time. More consistent take. I would tell somebody if you did it, next time I would mute the acoustic track and not listen to it because it's off time from the other one. Okay, so I talked myself into it. I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to listen to the rhythm tracks. I'm going to mute the acoustic and do it again. I was just sitting there looking. I was wondering if this would work during the webcam video. Man, he was the only guy that I know that was like a serious music producer, man, but he never got paid for doing the shit, man. But that's what's showing right there. He spent his whole life like working fucking slave jobs, man, and not like making any money, man. And then he come. Now I'm over here way across the room, but I'm using the microphone. I got it sitting in the track like I want. Man, I decided to do light pulls and squeezes. And when I lived next door to him in college, man, he was always like fucking playing the hi-hat in the middle of the night and shit, man. And I would just be like dead fucking asleep at 3 in the morning, man. And he'd be fucking making noises, man. Like and subscribe the video for discount merchandise.